All right, hey guys, what's up? 5th gen Hyundai Elantra guy here. I really wanted to focus on something that seems, a lot in the modding community or tuning community, a lot of it seems to be things related to the engine, whether it's turbocharging, putting in headers, doing a cat delete, resonator delete, adjusting timing, injector, spark, whatever you want to call the project. But I want to focus on something which, if we look at the engine as sort of the heart of the vehicle, it pumps the blood of the car, whatever you want to call it. The blood being the fuel, I don't know. But then essentially the nervous system or the brain would be your car's electrical system. Now this is more important in, newer cars, not so much your, classic, even especially pre-OBD2 cars or whatever the standard was, the CAN standard. So I'm going to be installing this cool kit today by HKS. It's not specific for a car, and I do believe they have a universal kit, which you can kind of cut the ground wires yourself, but they measured this out for the Hyundai Genesis Coupe 2.0 Turbo from 2008. And this is cool because it's going to be my first kind of HKS, which is a real, Japanese, tuning purveyor of, different things for cars, of course. My reasoning is that you want to bolster your car's electrical system because not only is it just for, whatever it might be, lighting or audio, but it's going to help with the ignition system, which our car needs. Because I was doing a few pulls recently, and this kind of goes back into me changing my spark plugs too. I had Brisk before, Brisk silver tip plugs, and those have really good ignition capabilities because it's silver, but they don't last as long. So I had to change those out. Put in new Iridium IX plugs, which are NGK's highest, top of the line for performance Iridium tip plugs. And I followed the OEM spec gap, which is 0.44. Now when I had the silver plugs, I believe I was running it at 0.34, 0.37, which is not in spec. Our car requires 0.39 to 0.44. for OE, and the OE plugs of course are the Iridium long life, so you just go in and readjust between that gap, and they do that because your electrode gets smaller over time, the gap increases, so you run like a smaller gap maybe at the end of the spec, so 0.39, and then as it gets worn out over time it's still in spec all the way up to 0.44, and by then you probably get new plugs or just re-gap them for one more service interval and then get new 100,000 plus mile Iridium plugs. But anyway, the issue being when I was in, I want to say 5th, 6th gear has like no power, and I had my OBD2 scanner, and that's because I know it goes into fuel cut, and it was telling me that as the engine status, and so I know fuel cut, they say in the forums, a few different things, it could be relating to a speed limiter, but I don't feel that's the case. I haven't reached a speed limiter, because when you reach a speed limiter it kind of goes, not just an RPM limiter, but it won't, it kind of feels like you're maybe hitting a wall, whereas the fuel cut, and I think it's a soft fuel cut, I don't know, or if it's a hard fuel cut, but essentially you just would have no more power, and that's because it's getting too much air. That's what they say in the forum, you're getting too much air, so the ECU does fuel cut because it can't supply enough fuel for that, for a good combustion, in which case it just starts cutting cylinders on, and different firing orders fuel to it, and then you get like reduced power for safety. In which case, there's a few different videos that are coming up for this, and because like I said, I really want to focus on the tuning aspect of our car. There's not many people doing that. A lot of the things relating to modifying this car are like, doing body kits and maybe the sound. That's about it. Nothing really with performance. Maybe something with, exhaust as well. I wouldn't really call that performance, but it's nice. Basically visual audio stuff. Nothing that really kind of increases the car's capabilities. And that's what I want to do, guys, because I want to give this car some love. It was supposed to be competing with the Civic market, Civic Corolla market, and even though Corolla's not really tuned as much, but I think even Corollas get tuned more than Hyundai Elantras. So of course Civic's like way up there. That's why there's so much aftermarket support, which this car doesn't have by different companies, because not many people do that. So maybe by my videos, and people may be going out trying to tune Hyundais themselves, or they already have it, will create some demand, and these kind of good companies who make stuff will be able to provide some cool aftermarket performance stuff for this vehicle within the US. I know some like Shark Racing, again, I always mention them, or other overseas in Korea, they probably have this as a bigger market, but I'm talking about here in the US. That leads into another thing. I'm going to be trying to do stuff with the injectors. I ordered some performance injectors. That's going to be another video. I know you say you need to tune when you're increasing injectors, but I'm going to see if the ECU can compensate for it, and then with a wide enough spark gap, which we're going to achieve by bolstering the electrical system, which helps ignition, which we're doing in this video, and then part 2 is going to be putting in a pivot or pivot Raisin or Ryzen voltage stabilizer and enhancer, which is going to also help ignition. That goes to your just positive, negative on the battery terminals. With that, we'll be able to run that wider gap strong and at the high end, because at the high end, meaning high speeds, high RPM, there's so much basically load on the engine, and then basically for the cycles, right? For your 4-cycle engine, the ignition coil doesn't have a chance to fully recharge. So when you run a wider gap at those higher demanding loads, higher speed, higher RPM, you don't get a strong spark, which is why small gap is better at that case. And of course, we know smaller gap in boosted applications as well, because the heat that's generated from boosting inside the engine, because you get a stronger combustion, and also because of the pressure. Because we know in physics or chemistry, pressure and heat are related, and we know that essentially when you're getting a spark, it's it's electrons jumping the gaps you get like with plasma. And because that's just like the function of wire, right? As heat increases, electrical resistance increases. And so that's why you run those smaller gaps in high boost applications, high horsepower, because there's just so much heat and pressure that it's just harder for the electrons to jump the gap and make a spark, so you help them out. Or you get a wider one and you get a really strong ignition system. All right guys, so some stuff that we're gonna need here is we're gonna need, of course, our socket set to undo any bolts, whatever tools you might need, your HKS Circle Earth Kit. I'm just gonna go ahead and open this up here so you guys can see it. Again, it's for the 2008 Hyundai Genesis Coupe, so we're gonna use our varying lengths here that we can use, but you can see here, this is just really cool. It's got HKS on here, gold-plated terminals, and there's your Circle Earth disc and hardware. And so we're going to put that together. Essentially all you do is you get the little disc here and grommet. And so we're going to do this first, and we're going to be mounting the disc here. And they basically put it in a little bolt here, which is connected to the body, so ground. I have a little spot that's perfect. And then they work around from there. And then they assemble this here, and then you put your wires in between, and those get bolted on. They give you all these different points, which we're going to reference. So they say like throttle valve nut, intake manifold, OEM ground, 2 to go to the battery ground, etc., and whatnot. And then this is how they show you how you mount it. So you use little bolts there, little washer nuts or whatever to go on top. And they want you to clean all wire connecting points. So that's why we have ourselves some wipes and alcohol. And we have ourselves some clear coat, because we might have to sand off some of the paint, and that's so that we can get down to bare metal. And after we connect, we'll spray some clear coat. And we have a respirator for that. Anything for tough bolts. Got ourselves our steel cable ties, and then wire snips for cutting those to organize it. Screwdriver needed, water, stay hydrated, it's been hot, adapter sockets, and of course, as you guys know, always wear eye protection, bare minimum. So let's go ahead and set this up over the engine bay, and let's start wiring it out, guys. So here's just some of the stuff that they include in the kit here. You get, of course, zip ties as well, which we might just use cable ties, but steel ties, but these are nice as well. And you get all your mounting hardware, and everything comes nice and sealed in here. Like there's no way that something can get messed up. It's nice and protected. That's that good quality that we see overseas in Japan. They take a lot of pride in their packaging and everything. So, and of course, quality of the product. This is a little bracket here. This sort of Z bracket is what we're going to use to mount to the bolt, and then your disc sits up from there, and that's this is your center point, so you kind of got to position this whatever works best. And I think I have a spot right down here which will work good, but I might adjust it, who knows. Just gonna put all our stuff up here on the top of the hood bonnet. Here are your little mounting hardware bolts, which this goes through the center of the disc, I believe. Little gold washer here. Here are all the different mounting screws, which are for all the different points. So those just go straight through to that, basically all the different cables. And then we have the little thing which retains the disc on top of it. So yeah guys, let's go ahead and get started, and we have our first mounting point. I'm gonna go ahead and test it with it bolted onto there to see how the hood closes. I took off the factory ground there because the next step we're gonna do also is we wanna get some little coarse sandpaper here, like some, what is this, 120. We're gonna wanna get the paint exposed so that we have a really good contact surface for not only the bolt going in, but also the wash area. That's why we got our clear coat. So let's go ahead and do that, guys. Just gonna go ahead, and you see right here, you just wanna kind of get it where you got bare metal showing. gonna make sure it's a really strong ground. Again, you want that iPro, guys, for all the paint and metal, and just blow that off and wipe it off, whatever you use. Get some alcohol and kind of clean the area after. So we're gonna do that. And that's pretty much it. So that's nice and bare metal there. You can probably see it, maybe not. And just do that with all your other contact points. This one I know I'm gonna use, so that's why I'm doing it, but you wanna go ahead and do your mapping now with the, I'm gonna probably mount my unit here, again, test the fit, close the hood. And then after that, I'm gonna start mapping out to which ones, and whatever ones I can go to, those are the ones I'm gonna end up sanding down. So let's go ahead and do that, guys. Also kind of can clean up these little terminals here a little bit, just that way it has even better contact from oxidization. All right, guys, after testing the hood clearance, this is gonna be the best spot right here to actually mount the unit. And even with the little cover on top, it'll just be just short of a sort of tight fit, but it'll work. And so we are going to tighten this up one final time. We just get these out, and we hold the bottom right here, just like that. And let's go ahead and make sure that's not going to be coming loose, because it has that wave washer on there, which is supposed to really, I think, help with that. So okay, and we're going to tighten this some more. Those are both good. And so I think we got ourselves a nice ground here to work with. And so now we just got to work on our cabling. And so we see we have different cabling here, different lengths. And so we're going to go ahead and try to lay out. And notice they have these numbered here. That's so that when you do them, you can follow their little diagram. Sorry, this is not like 5 and all that. So yeah, let's go ahead and start laying that out. And all you want to do is just use that, use your OEM bolt, and then they give you these ones here to thread in like this. And that's pretty much it. And then that's how we're going to be grounding and working through the system, guys. So I just want to go over that, but I'm going to go ahead and wire it through so then you guys can see what the result is afterwards and what the best ones are. And I'll use the numbers too if you get the same kit. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I just wanted to show you guys this really quick, but essentially if you are going to be mounting here, because this point works and we use cable number 2, route it through to here, back underneath, and under here. Now this is the transmission ground. Now the hole here that this uses, this bolt is much too big to accommodate this. So what you do is you grind out both sides. I even grinded this plate again for oxidization, and you use the OEM bolt, but instead you see here, you attach it to the little hook point in between the transmission. See that? And then it will hold it firm when it's bolted down. You don't have to worry about it coming loose, and it still makes good contact. Yeah, so far we have number 5 here, which is the longest, running all the way to the back, which looks pretty nice. Going here to engine, then the shortest here, which is going to come loop back around, which is number 8, back into the OEM engine ground. It's going to be a better ground. Another up to the top of the frame here from that one, because we can't use any more going from there to there. So, and of course I want another one coming down here, maybe a shorter one from here, then maybe another one going up to, I don't know, somewhere else up in here. But yeah, we're gonna figure it out the rest of the way, guys, so let's stay tuned. All right, guys, so I just finished mounting everything. Again, the disc goes here. Ended up being only 4 mounting points on here that go to the circle earth. Right, and then I just put the rest of these bolts here, that way they're there if I rearrange this. We basically have number, again, 5, the longest, going to engine ground over here. Let me just set this to auto. To the engine ground over here, right? Then we have number 7 over here. Actually, I moved the number 7 on this one because I like the number 7. Now these aren't really grounded on through the bolt, but they are making full metal contact, which comes in contact with the engine ground as well. And so in which case it's still nice and tight, bolted against that. And I did that on the other side as well. And that looks good coming across here, back here. We have number 1 going here to the frame. Again, I sanded that down, going back onto here. Then I have another one down here, which is number 2 going down to the transmission mount, keeping the OEM transmission ground, but going down to the frame, sanded that too, back up here. Okay, that's all basically going to the circle earth, and again, that's mounted to our negative. And these on this side are different, so we have number, what is this? I think number 3. Yep, number 3 coming back up here, sanded that. That's going all the way to the engine there. And got another one over here, which is number 4, going up here to the engine ground as well. Replace the OEM engine ground back to the frame on there. And that would be number, oh, that's hard to see that one. I think that's number 8. Number 8 here, here to here, the shortest, going between here and then wrapping it back around. I think overall it adds like a nice, again, a nice custom look. We got some going back here, back that way. And the final thing we have to do is basically put the little HKS circle earth thing on top and cover or protector or look. And yeah, I think this is really looking snazzy, guys. So again, when I get the raisin stabilizer, that's going to go from here to here, and I'm just going to have that adhesive right on there, or maybe just tucked underneath in the front. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to show it what it looks like again with the HKS on, and we'll say our close out the video. All right, now I did have an issue with this kind of, when I put it in good, I don't know what happened, it kind of dripped, and so you have part of that on here, and so this can't come off. You're actually supposed to put the little tiny washer there. You can see it first, but I think it'll be fine. Hopefully this threads back in, otherwise I'll just have to have the one. But you basically put the brass pegs there underneath, and then you, I guess you orient it the way you want, which I think having it like this is good because that says high spec right there. Actually, I can't really do that because now the bad threads are on this side. I don't know. I can't really do that, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that one threads good. It's just the, again, it's just the one. Yeah, see, this one goes in perfectly. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna screw that in, I'm almost out of battery, but I'm gonna say goodbye. All right, guys, that concludes the install of the HKS Circle Earth engine and electrical grounding system. So I hope this is gonna really boost our ignition system like how I wanted. And we're gonna have another part 2 for electrical system on our car with the Raisin, P-Volt Raisin from Japan as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. God bless you, and always enjoy the drive.